Most men can't hear God. And it's not because he's silent. And it's not because God is silent, but it's because they are surrounded, the men, the women, they are surrounded by too much noise. Okay? The quieter your mind becomes, the clearer his voice will get. All right? You ever pray and feel like God isn't there? Like he just ghosted you, right? He's not listening. Okay, like no matter how hard you try, you pour out your heart to him, you can't feel his presence, you can't get a sign, you can't hear a word, and you just feel like your prayers went unanswered. Everyone has been there. But what I've learned is that God is always with you. All right. And he speaks. He speaks. He's trying to tell you things. And sometimes he might go silent, but that silence is meant to shape you. Okay? If we look in the Bible from Elijah in the cave, I'll read it right now, verse from verse. Elijah had just done everything God had told him. He called down from the heaven, defeated false prophets, but now he's running from his life in a cave, drained, broken, and lost. And he wants to hear from God again. He's desperate. And suddenly, a great wind tears through the mountains. But God wasn't in the wind. Then an earthquake, but God wasn't in the earthquake. Then a fire, but God wasn't in the fire. And finally, a still small voice. That's where God was. All right. Sometimes you're not going to be able to hear God because you're looking for him in the loud places, but he's whispering to you in the quiet. Okay? So, with that being said, we can take a look at John 10:27. My sheep hear voice, and I know them, and they follow me. All right, God's voice isn't a sound. Okay, it's a sense of direction. All right, it's your if you're his, which we all are, if we all accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you'll learn to recognize it through alignment. When you start to follow him more closely in his teachings and his principles, when you read the Bible and you start to pick out things. That is how I've grown so close to God. I read something, like maybe last night I read Luke where Jesus talked about he went up to Mount Olives and prayed. You pick out things like that and then you take them and you implement them into your own life. All right? Jesus went to Mount Olive, or he went to a quiet place in Mount Olives and prayed. All right, same thing. You take that verse and you pick it out and you implement it into your own life. Okay, Jesus went to go pray in a quiet place. You go pray in a quiet place. All right, maybe we look at the 40 days and the 40 nights. Okay, Jesus said there that no one will ever test God. All right, maybe you're going through something and you want to test him. You don't do that. Okay, you pick out these habits and you start to implement them into your life and you'll start to hear him more. Okay? Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. Okay? Stillness is the frequency of heaven. If you can't hear him, your mind is filled with everyone else's noise. What do I mean by that? Are you spending your whole day watching TikTok, listening to music on the radio? Are you, you know, watching TV? Are you in a constantly working? All right? The way you hear Jesus Christ is through quiet, like I just talked about, right? And everyone's mind is so like distracted, filled with noise, everything like that. You can't discern him. Okay. Our grandparents had many epiphanies from the Lord, and it was because they had time to think. They had quiet time in their life. They weren't constantly hit with dopamine on dopamine on dopamine. Doesn't it feel like it? Like with sports nowadays, we'll use this as an example because I'm a big sports fan, right? You know, there's always a game on. College football Saturday, NFL football Sunday, hockey Monday, NBA Tuesday, MLB Wednesday, wrestling. You know, there's always sports on. You can't keep up with it all, okay? There's always something to do. Your boys always have a function. No one can be bored anymore. There's always TikTok, Instagram. Like your mind, they don't want you to have your mind, and that's why you can't hear God. All right. And if we look at Isaiah 30:21, your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Okay. The way you hear God is walking through conviction, clarity, and confirmation. Okay. You will hear God, you will understand God more when you start to follow him and you start to obtain favor and you start to give him time of day, whether it's morning prayer, whether it's night prayer. I do both. Obviously, I preach to my clients both. Okay, give him the time of day. Give him 20 minutes. Maybe you're driving to work. Instead of listening to music, a podcast, just shut it off and just try and listen to him. Maybe get to church 20 minutes early. Maybe, go for a prayer walk around your neighborhood. Give him time where you can genuinely spend time and hear him. Okay, the reason why you're not hearing him is because there's too much stuff in your head, or or he's already told you something and you can't discern it. Okay, when your heart is constantly telling you you're not meant to do this, you need to go after your dream job. Okay, those people aren't good for you. All right, you know I don't know, whatever someone your heart is telling you, whatever you have a gut feeling about. All right, that, and then you keep asking God, is this meant to be? Is this meant to be? No, bro. Dude, that feeling in your gut, that feeling in your heart, that is God telling you to do something, bro. Stop questioning it and just lock the fudge in, bro. All right? When you feel lost, when you feel something tugging at your heartstrings, all right, God is inviting you to listen deeper, okay? Sometimes his silence is the greatest sign of his presence. That gut feeling, that is the greatest sign that he's telling you to do something. All right. He's teaching you to depend on faith, trust in him. Okay. Not feelings. All right. So, yeah. Okay. I don't know how many times I have to get it across, but you need to give him time of day and you need to listen to your heart. You need to listen to your gut feeling. All right. You don't need to hear him audibly all the time to know he's guiding you. Okay. Obedience reveals his voice more than searching ever will. If you have faith in him, I promise you, you will be okay. Okay. And if you are in a season of silence right now, if you are praying, but you can't seem to hear God, I don't want you to give up. He's there. Okay. He's there. You're not being lost. You are being led. Okay, he's pulling you into the quiet so he can rebuild your faith. And if you want help learning how to recognize his voice, rebuild your discipline, and find peace in the process, DM me on Instagram, Christoph Langen _ and book a one-on-one call with me. All right, let's help you reconnect with the one who created you. I love you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.